Hi friends, be cat. Brain is creating a thought. This is called Pun Piso. We had a debate. Bill Nye, the science guy, against Ken Ham, the Christ Psychosis person, the creator of the Creation of Museum, Christ Psychosis. And like I said, ad nauseam, what is wrong with the sane atheist scientists in the United States of America? Every time they have a debate with this obviously schizophrenic, Christ Psychosis, idiots, ignoramuses. Well, some are very intelligent, but they're still sick. Why they have debates with these guys and they never question their mental health? They never do. And Bill Nye is no exception. And I predicted that. February 4th, 2014, he's debating this Christ Psychosis, obviously sick person that believes in Christianity, in the Bible. And why Bill Nye doesn't go for the jugular? Why doesn't he go directly, attack directly the book of myth of the Bible? They never do. Dawkins doesn't do it. Harris doesn't do it. Dennett doesn't do it. Dr. Krauss doesn't do it. Nobody, none of these scientists attack this Bible, this crap book. Even Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, such an amazing man, they don't attack and crush these idiots with facts. They're psychotic. They have millions of churches in the United States of America, and they infect the brain of children. They keep them theotarded, stuck in the Middle Ages with all this crap, and atheist scientists say nothing. And they debate evolution, creationism with these idiots, and they never call them on for the psychotic people they are. Bill Nye not once mentions the brain. You have to have a brain to have a discussion. And malfunctioning brains only can produce malfunctioning crazy thoughts. Go debate a schizophrenic, an intellectual schizophrenic, and you'll see that it's no different than between debating a schizophrenic and any religious person infected with a religious psychosis. Bill Nye never mentions, they talk about God and God and God, but what is God? He didn't mention what God is and how God is created. God is created is a product of the brain. And the brain is product of coitus. Sperm and egg. It is incredible, the ignorance and the blindness of these people. Amazing. And God is an ifofib. It's an imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief created in the brain. And what is Christianity? What is the Bible? It's a compendium of mythologies exactly the same of any religious text. Bill Nye made a mistake. He said that, the Bible is 3,000 years old. No, it is not 3,000 years old. This compendium of garbage of the Bible is just from the 4th or 5th century. And all this translation and mistranslation, come on, Bill. Get a clue. Talk about the Egyptian, the Book of the Dead, that is the original hunting stones 5,000 years old. All the hieroglyphs and all that, the same crap of the Bible, the mythology is bullshit with all these guys with different names are in the Book of the Dead. In the honor of religious text, 5,000 years ago. Doesn't mention that. And what is a Christian? Ken Ham believes in Christ. What is Christ? It is a title, and on top of that is Jesus Christ is the Son begot, that resurrected, was crucified, resurrected to save humanity for the sin committed by a madman and a rib woman when they accepted a fruit from a talking snake in a garden. What is this bullshit of the Noah's Ark and all that crap? Go with the rest of the mythologies of the stupid Bible. I didn't even mention it. It's absolutely mind-boggling that 2.5 hours or 2 hours, 40 minutes, this debate, Bill Nye never questioned the mental health of Ken Ham, that reasons exactly the same way of anybody with mental problems, like a schizophrenic, people with temporal lobe epilepsy, people suffering from depression. There are people that look very normal but they have problems with the brain. Ken Ham is one of them. He's a Christ psychotic. And Bill Nye doesn't even mention that. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Anyway, I'm going to show you some clips here, and I'll be talking and making comments, but it's just mind-boggling. I mean, not once he mentioned the Bible as a stupid, ridiculous mythology book and the millions of all kind of Bibles, and he never questions, never said that the brain is the creator of thought, and never questioned this Ken Ham stupid, irrational crap. It's all crap, it's all psychosis, and it's expressed in churches. He never questioned what the churches teach all these kids. They're corrupting the brain of children. Never mentions it. Oh, amazing, absolutely amazing. Here.
But that might be different to what Bill Nye would see. But see, there's a difference between what you actually observe directly and then your interpretation in regard to the past.
You guys schizophrenic.
The Goddard Space Center a number of years ago, I met creationists and evolutionists who were both working on the Hubble telescope. They agreed on how to build the Hubble telescope.
It doesn't mention the brain.
Disagreed on.
This guy's sick. A lot of us schizophrenic believe exactly the same shit that this guy's doing. Same thing. These guys are so irrational that it's absolutely mind-boggling. And Bill Nye is not mentioning this at all.
And you know, I totally agree with him on that. We agree how it works. We agree how over on Mars, but we're going to disagree on how to interpret the origin of Mars. I mean, there are some people that...
A schizophrenic imbecile doesn't interpret anything correctly because of this disease. That's what's happening here.
I disagree maybe on our interpretation of origins, and you can't prove...
His brain is screwed up. That's what he creates thinking with. Malfunctioning brains create irrational thoughts.
Both work on, just have the same experimental or observational science.
Try some chemicals and screw up your brain. You'll be able to see all kind of stuff.
That could only have been developed starting with a belief in molecules to man evolution.
The guy's an imbecile.
Now, here's another important fact. We would have the same fish fossil. This is one from the Creation Museum. The same dinosaur skeletons, the same animals, the same humans, the same DNA, the same radioactive decay elements that we see. We have the same...
When a person has a problem with the eyes, they malfunction, they don't see things correctly. They do have eyes, but if the brain malfunctions, creates irrational, deluded thoughts, like schizophrenics do.
Because it's really a battle over worldviews and stuff.
That's what he does.
It's a battle over philosophical worldviews.
Not philosophical, reality. He doesn't have no idea.
My starting point is that God is the ultimate authority.
See?
If someone doesn't accept that,
God doesn't exist.
It has to be the ultimate authority.
Realize that God is an imaginary friend or for irrational belief.
About the past when you weren't there.
That's what a God is.
Understand that we weren't there.
So it's totally schizophrenics, and Bill Nye is not calling him for the deluded person he is.
What you can directly observe, test,
incredible.
And observational science.
Really?
The role of observational science is this: it can be used to confirm or otherwise one's historical science.
Observational science, another new word.
Now, when you think about the debate topic and
imbecile
concerning creation,
study neurology,
origins or historical science.
That's what he believes. This crap.
If origins is true, then confirming an intelligence produce life. We'd expect to find evidence confirming.
Why do you say take Winnie the Pooh book, or the Quran, or any stupid book like that?
Implying each kind produces its own.
See, this is the problem. We're in the 21st century. We're not in the 1st or 12th century.
Evidence confirming a global flood of Noah's day.
It's ridiculous.
Evidence confirming
absolutely
of humans.
Ridiculous.
Back to Adam and Eve, biologically, that would mean there's one race.
Idiot.
Confirming the Tower of Babel.
Oh man.
Different languages. Evidence confirming a young universe. Now I can't...
Evidence? Where?
A couple of them will...
In his screwed up brain. The guy is crazy. Schizophrenic imbecile.
In the Creation Museum, we have a display...
Oh man, it is mind-boggling.
Evolution has been hijacked by sectarists. The word
the brain is never
what I call
mentioned.
Switch.
Never. This is the problem.
Is being used in public school textbooks.
The guy has a faulty brain.
And so on.
And he's creating all these garbage ideas like schizophrenics do.
And then used for unobservable changes,
Incredible.
such as molecules.
Bill Nye is not going to mention the brain. The guy is psychotic. He's deluded, he's Christ-psychotic, infected imbecile.
Students were taught, and I checked the public school textbooks anyway.
This is what happened with a person with a defective brain.
Today, look,
It creates irrational, defective thoughts, like any schizophrenic. And he believes everything is true that he's saying.
And look, we see changes,
It's false.
changes in pinches, changes in...
But he sees it.
Now,
2 + 2 equals any number this imbecile thinks it is, except 4.
But then they put it all together
He's
as
sick.
evolutionary teaching religion. If you teach evolution, that's science. And I'm going to say, wait a minute. Actually, the creation model here, based upon the Bible, observational science confirms this. This is what you observe. You don't observe this tree. Actually, it's the public school textbooks that are teaching the belief, imposing it on students.
Incredible.
And teaching them observational science.
Why you teach Winnie the Pooh book?
To indoctrinate students to accept evolutionary
Really?
as observational science.
Incredible.
Introduce you to another scientist, Richard Lenski. Introduce you to another biblical creationist who is a scientist.
Psychotic.
My name is Dr. Andrew Favich.
Yeah,
I
see?
PhD from the University of Oklahoma.
Schizophrenics can also be
I
scientists.
teach at Liberty University, and I do research on E. coli in the intestine.
See? But he believes in a zombie God that resurrects and saved with blood.
From the American
And he's a scientist.
Biology.
By the way, schizophrenics are very intellectual, the same thing. They believe in ancient aliens that put implants in the brain to monitor your thoughts. They believe that. They think it's true, and their scientists are very smart. Francis Collins is one of them. But they have a problem with the brain.
It's cited regularly.
So this guy is sick.
And while I was taught,
He is creating all that with his defective
I
brain.
don't accept that position. I
That's the
take a
problem.
Creation perspective.
The man is sick,
I look at the evidence.
and Bill Nye should mention that.
The E. coli.
1800.
That's the Bible.
Popular
That's the Quran.
textbooks used in the public
All
schools
that.
in America taught this.
All this stuff. He believe, but all this crap, mythological mumbo jumbo,
Finally,
he believes that this is true.
The Caucasians.
This guy believes this is true.
White inhabitants of Europe and
And
America.
that's schizophrenia.
That was in the public schools.
That is a schizophrenia, believing all this
That's what
crap
was
to be
taught.
reality.
It was based on
That is
Darwin's
typical,
ideas.
that's a schizophrenia. That's what Bill Nye should say. If you're a Christian, you believe in a zombie that resurrects and saves with blood for sin.
The creation account.
That is Christianity, it's Christ psychosis, and they do not mention
Go
it.
through the Tower of Babel, different
See,
languages.
biblical, look at this crap.
Formed, distinct characteristics, but we'd say, you know what, that means there's biologically only one race of humans.
From this crap,
Well, I mentioned Dr. Venter.
from this crap.
And he was more research. I
Look at this shit.
Visit our website at
Incredible.
Genesis for a lot more in
Look.
today's scientific era.
This is the Book of the
I
Dead.
said we need to
Same crap.
the terms, and particularly the
Same
science,
stuff.
the term evolution, and
All in here.
understand how they're being used.
The Book of the Dead.
and anti-
All in here.
Generations of
It's no difference.
students. What? The secularists
Look
don't
at this.
be doing this because they don't want to admit that there's a
All of this.
aspect to what they're
The Book of
saying.
the Dead.
There is, and they can't get away.
This is older
Let me
than the
illustrate
Bible. It
that
had
statement.
tons of this stuff.
Bill Nye.
All mythologies.
The earth is not flat. You can
There are
show
3
me
of them, all that crap.
10,000 years old.
By the way, medical science based on the Bible. And let me, Genesis and the Creation Museum, we mean the account based on the Bible. Yes, and here at the Creation Museum, we walk people through that history.
See?
Walk them through
Literal.
the perfect creation.
So a guy resurrected and saved with blood for sin.
And so on.
Literal.
And then sin and death entered the world.
And these people are
Death
schizophrenics.
before sin.
You believe in that crap, you don't call that
It's
science.
a dead thing.
Observable or not observable, whatever you want to call it.
The catastrophe.
They don't understand that.
If there was a global flood, you'd expect to find billions of waters would want me to.
This guy is completely lunatic.
The dead things buried in rock layers like
And his mental health should be questioned.
confusion, the Tower of Babel.
And the problem is the scientists do not question these
So
idiots.
this is the geological,
They're schizophrenic and they don't question them.
anthropological.
They bring all that crap around and they don't question them.
What happened in the past?
This is the
the
problem.
present, and then of course. that-
So it is the scientists'
History of
fault
Jesus Christ, the God Man,
that they don't question the mental health of these imbeciles.
in new heavens and
They're believing all that crap
and, you know,
because it's mythology accepted as reality, and they don't question their zombies. Jesus Christ is a zombie. It's a resurrected zombie. It's an I for fifth. It's an imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief that is found in schizophrenics.
About marriage, he said, "Have you not read?"
And this is this is mind-boggling. The scientists don't wake up and land and call these idiots
And there'll be one
mentally
from
disturbed
Genesis,
people.
Full history, Genesis 1 and 2.
See?
God invented marriage.
He believes all this.
That's where marriage comes from. from, and
See?
to be a man and a woman.
All this.
And not only
They're
that,
believing all this crap.
every single biblical trust, Genesis. This is a very important book. It's foundational to all Christian doctrine. And you see, when we look at that,
Again,
we call the seven
define Christianity. Psychosis.
Here at the museum. Think about how
Believing FOFibs. Imaginary principle that irrational beliefs.
sin and death.
That's all this crap is.
That's why God's Son died on the cross and
See?
to conquer death. And
Really?
If any man enter in, he'll be saved. And we
See? He believes in a Jesus Christ nonsense.
Is this?
That's why you can actually crush those imbeciles, telling them that it doesn't exist and they have a problem with the
Now,
brain.
as soon as I say that, see, people say, see, if you allow creation in schools, for instance, if you allow students to even hear about it, this is religion. Academics, stop right there. Notice, creationists, academics. Creationists can't be academics. Creationists can't be scientists. See, it's a way.
Creators are sick people.
It's an
Schizophrenics.
going on. Who are
Under a different name.
and political ideology,
See?
something scientific.
That's what it is.
By science, you're talking about what you observe.
Religious
You're talking
is a
about
psychosis.
beliefs about the past.
It's a form of schizophrenia.
Kathy Miller is a
This guy is sick.
Texas Freedom Network, and
Very sick.
vocally.
That should be pointed out. His brain function should be questioned.
This textbook
That's what all atheists should do.
and
Question these imbeciles'
the mission statement of the organization she's
mental health,
says the
sanity.
Freedom Network advances a mainstream. See, the battle is really about authority.
See, to this imbecile, atheism is a religion.
It's about who is the authority.
That's how stupid he is.
Man or God. If you start with naturalism, then what about?
Doesn't realize that 8,000 languages spoken in the planet.
Marriage.
He's
What
imbecile.
to be. Get rid of old people. I mean, why not?
Look at this.
Just animals, it costs
Guys,
a lot of
it's
money.
so crazy.
Get rid of spare kids.
It's amazing.
Spare kids. We're historical science confirmed by observational
See?
science in today's
You're crazy as man is.
era. You know what? I'm a science teacher. I want to see kids taught science.
You cannot teach science.
See,
You are a schizophrenic. You are an
you
imbecile.
know, if we teach them the whole universe is a result of
It's
natural processes
ridiculous.
and not designed by a creator God.
In this 21st
in the
century,
wrong places, or
you have no idea what a God is. It's an fib, imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief.
because if they look at it as just random processes,
That's what a God is.
totally
An
that's the way
fib.
they
Doesn't
think.
mention
If
it.
they understand it was a perfect.
He was created by his father's penis when he shot sperm, creating his screwed up brain in 9 months.
world. I want children to be taught the right.
Mutations in the DNA. Doesn't imbecile don't know what a DNA is? He's product of coitus.
For them, and
This is how stupid he is.
in the image of God.
On layer upon layer upon layer of limestone. I stopped at the side of the road today and picked up this piece of limestone that has a fossil right there. Now, in these many, many layers, in this vicinity of Kentucky, there are coral animals, fossil, zooxanthellae. And
He's analyzing that with his brain.
you can see that they live there.
He doesn't mention the brain.
They lived typically 20 years,
Bill!
more than that.
You know this because you learn this stuff. And you're healthy. You are sane. You're an atheist.
Millions of layers of ancient life.
Talk about the brain. Talk about how the brain, a sick brain, cannot understand science.
In just 4,000
Come on.
The Arctic, they go to Antarctica, and they drill into the ice with hollow drill bits. It's not that extraordinary. Many of you have probably done it yourselves. They're drilling other
You
things.
cannot convince a schizophrenic
Locks and doors, for example.
of reality.
And we
They have thrown reason out the window. You
long
can't.
Cylinders of ice. Long
That's what Bill Nye
ice rods.
doesn't
And
understand.
these are made of snow. And by long tradition, it's called snow
He
ice.
doesn't understand it. His brain is
Snow ice
sick.
forms over the winter as snowflakes fall and are crushed down by subsequent layers.
Bring all the science you want. This idiot will never understand it.
And the little bubbles must needs be ancient atmosphere.
Exactly. It's meaningless to cry psychotics.
680,000 snow winter summer cycle. How could it be that just 4,000 years ago all of this ice formed? Let's just run some numbers. This is
Again,
scenes from
meaningless.
the Antarctic.
Meaningless.
Let's see, we
Because
have
schizophrenics will understand
680,000
reality.
layers
Keep
of
that in
snow
mind.
ice, and 4,000 years since the
Meaningless.
flood. Wouldn't someone have noticed that? Wow! Wouldn't someone have noticed that there's been winter, summer 170 times one year? If we go to California, we find enormous stands of bristlecone pines. Some of them are over 6,000 years old, 6,800 years old.
Again,
It's a famous tree in
A person with a problem with the brain cannot understand the science.
9,550
So
years old.
imagine all this.
How could these
things.
trees be there if there was an enormous flood just 4,000 years ago? You can try this yourself, everybody. I don't mean to be mean to trees, but get a sapling and put it underwater for a year. It will not survive.
Exactly.
In general, normal.
That is reality, but they don't understand reality.
Make it. So how could these trees be that old if the Earth is only 4,000 years old? World to someday visit the Grand Canyon. You find layer upon layer of ancient rocks. And
Exactly.
if there was this enormous flood that you speak
To a
of,
schizophrenic,
wouldn't there
cry-psychotic infected imbecile, person with a problem with the brain.
how would these things have
2 plus 2 equals any number they say it is,
in an
except 4.
short amount of time?
Bill Nye is wasting his time.
You can look at these rocks. You can
Wasting his time.
You can go to seashores where there's sand.
Wasting your time.
Geology intruded on another type. Now, if that was uniform, wouldn't we expect it all to be even without intrusion? Furthermore, you can find places in the Grand
Only
Canyon where you see an ancient riverbed on
healthy
one side,
brain understands
going to an
this.
ancient
There's no
riverbed
science.
on that side, and the Colorado
That is not
River.
infected by cry-psychosis
And by the way,
or by schizophrenia type.
if this great flood drained through the Grand Canyon, wouldn't there have been a Grand Canyon on every continent?
Exactly.
How could we not have Grand Canyons everywhere in 4,000 years?
See?
Now, when you look at these layers,
To them, 2 plus 2 equals any number.
beautiful fossils.
They insist it is.
When I say
Except
beautiful, I am inspired by them. They're
4, of
remarkable
course.
Because we're
cry-psychosis.
looking at the past. You find down, if this water drained away just like that, wouldn't we expect to see some turbulence? And by the way, anyone here,
Can argue with the cry-psychotics.
find
God
one
zap everything into existence.
one example of that.
These people are
anywhere in
crazy.
the world, the scientists of the world challenge you.
Bill-
They would embrace you. You would be a hero. You would change.
Bill
the world.
Nye
Find one
does
example.
not question the mental health
People have looked.
of these cry-psychotic infected
Not
imbeciles.
found a single one.
Dawkins doesn't do it. Harris doesn't do it.
Now here's an interesting.
Krauss doesn't do it.
These are
All these
fossil
brilliant,
skulls
sane,
that people have.
in other words, they're mentally healthy.
It's by no means
Atheists,
representative of all the
scientists
fossils
never
that we
question
have,
these imbeciles.
But these are
They're like-
all over the place.
Schizophrenics.
Now
They belong in mental
if you were
institutions.
to Look at these.
See?
I can
You,
assure
you can show him all this.
them is-
Meaningless. They will not understand it. They'll come around with the creation crap and the God did it and this stuff of the Bible is there in there.
Associates claim
Crazy.
there was just man and then everybody else. There were just
See?
humans and all of
Exactly. That's the problem.
Where
This guy is
would you put
crazy.
modern humans among these Ham's worldview is that this giant boat, very large wooden ship, went aground safely on a mountain in the Middle East, what we now call the Middle East. And so places like Australia are populated then by animals who somehow managed to get from the Middle East all the way to Australia in the last 4,000 years.
Makes sense to cry-psychotics.
Extraordinary claim. We
Makes
would expect
sense to
that
schizophrenics.
someone
Makes sense to
from the
people
Middle
with
East,
brain defects.
we would expect
It's logical to them.
Evidence of kangaroos.
See?
We would expect to find some fossils, some bones in the last 4,000 years.
course.
Somebody would have.
Since Bill is ignorant of history and archaeology and other science, he doesn't realize that the Ark is actually round. He should mention that. It's in the evidence in the British Museum. The Ark was round. That was the shape of the Ark 4,000 years ago. And here it is. And the evidence is overwhelming. He doesn't understand that. Let's smash the cry-psychosis infected imbeciles with facts, okay?
More. There's a claim that there was a land bridge that allowed these animals to get from Asia all the way to the continent of Australia, and that land bridge has disappeared. No diver, no U.S. Navy submarine, no one's ever detected any evidence of this, let alone any fossils of kangaroos. So your expectation is not met. For 4,000 years since Ken Ham's flood, and let's say, as he said many times, there are 7,000
Brain is not questioned.
kinds today.
Mental health is not
Very,
questioned.
very lowest estimate.
That's the
is that
problem.
There are about 8.7 million species But a much more reasonable estimate is it's 50 million or even 100 million when you start counting the viruses and the bacteria and all
Look at that.
beetles that must be extant in the tropical rainforest that we haven't found. So many species today, okay? If these came from 7,000 kinds, let's say we have...
It's in the Bible. Mystery. God has all the power to create everything.
We have 4,000 years, we have 360...
Diabolical mimicry.
We would expect...
Just don't question the brain.
...new species...
None.
...every day. So you'd go out into your yard, you wouldn't just find
Amazing.
bird, a new bird. You find a different kind of bird, a whole new species of bird every day. A new species of fish, a new species of organisms you can't see, and so on. I mean, this would be enormous news. The last 4,000 years, people would have seen...
Bring a schizophrenic over
So
to the debate, an intellectual one.
Would carry
Like
a column right next to the weather.
Francis Collins, the regular
That
schizophrenic.
would list these
They believe in ancient aliens.
every day.
Oh, there you
But
go.
we see no evidence of that.
Crazy
There's
people.
No evidence,
But they don't care about the
There
evidence.
isn't enough time.
To them, an infected brain has all kind of
I
evidence.
was graduated from engineering school, and I got a job at Boeing.
Ah,
I worked on set of the ground. Enormous rocks, huge, sitting on top of the ground. Now out there in regular academic pursuits, regular geology, people have discovered that there used to be a
wasting his time.
what is now Montana, which we...
There's million churches in United States of America
It's not there now, but the evidence for it, of course, is...
infecting the brain of people with this garbage.
And so... a
Religious
ice
psychosis.
dam would form at Lake Missoula,
So
and once in a while would break.
you cannot discover reality with this cry-psychotic infected
Multiple
imbeciles.
floods
Impossible.
in my old state of Washington.
They have a
State.
problem with the brain.
Before we go on, let me just say, go Seahawks. That was very gratifying.
See?
A facility that the heavier rocks would sink to the bottom during a flood event. The big rocks, and especially their shape, instead of aerodynamic, the hydrodynamic, the water changing shape.
Wasting his time.
As water flows past. You'd expect them to sink to the bottom, but here are these enormous rocks right on the surface, and there's no shortage of them. If you go driving in Washington State,
That's science and logic.
they're readily
A
available.
schizophrenic wouldn't know how to understand
so how
that.
would those be there? If the
Religious psychosis will understand it. They will not.
Be there if this
Ask any Muslim, Hindu, anybody infected with religious psychosis.
Another remarkable thing, I'd like everybody to
They will understand it.
along inherent
Wasting your
in
time.
this worldview is that somehow Noah and his family were able to build a wooden ship that would house 14,000 individuals. There are 7,000 kinds, and everybody's a boy and a girl.
God works in mysterious ways. Some be
There's
Jesus.
about 14,008 people.
See?
And these people were unskilled. As far as anybody knows, they had never built a wooden ship before.
Exactly.
Furthermore, they had to get all these animals on there, and they had to feed them, and I understand
See, he's wasting his time.
Abraham has some
Psychosis.
explanations for that.
Cry
which I
psychosis.
frankly find extraordinary, but
2 + 2 equals any number
This is the
the
purpose.
religious psychosis think it is. Except
and then run
4.
past a
Remember that.
scientific-
The more you know, the more difficult it is for others to lie. So Bill is ignorant of archaeology and history and all that. Here's your damn ark. It's in Babylonian script. Learn how to read cuneiform writing and then you'll see it. It's right there. And not like the History Channel, the so-called History Channel with imbeciles like this that believe in ancient aliens and all that crap, corrupting the mind of children.
built an extraordinary large wooden ship, the Wyoming. It was a 6-masted schooner, the largest one ever built. It had a motor on it for winching cables and stuff.
amazing. Absolutely
But this
amazing.
boat had
It's 6
a great
o'clock.
difficulty. It was
Thank you,
not
computer.
as big as the Titanic,
Amazing.
but it was this way, and this way. And in all that twisting, it leaked. It leaked like crazy. The crew could not keep the ship dry. And indeed, it eventually foundered and sank, loss of all 14 hands. So there were 14 crewmen aboard a ship.
See, he's talking logic.
Very, very skilled shipwrights.
You
and
cannot
these guys are the
talk
best
logic with a
in the
cry
world.
psychosis infected imbeciles that believe in the
Big-
in Bible crap.
The ark is claimed to have been.
All religious
Is
crap.
that reasonable? Is
Tons
that
of religious
possible?
books. No, it's not
That
possible.
The best shipbuilders in the world couldn't do what 8 unskilled people men and their wives were
Incredible. Incredible. Why is he wasting his time?
Bill,
national-
get educated in ancient history so you understand where all the crap and all the mythologies of the Bible came from. And ask Professor Finkel to teach you about the so-called Ark. Keep in mind that religious faith, all religions except I for fibs, imaginary friends or foes, irrational beliefs as if they were true. The same like schizophrenia. Religion is a disorganized schizophrenia. It's a mental disorder. And nobody seems to say this. So people that believe in God, they have a problem with the brain. And they should be committed. They're all loose in the streets. But it is a fact.
And they have 400 species. By the way, this picture that you're seeing was taken by spacecraft in space, orbiting the Earth. If you told my grandfather, let alone my father, that we had that capability, they would have been amazed. That capability comes from our fundamental understanding
Of science.
of gravity, of
Exactly.
material science,
Exactly.
of physics.
And you have to have a healthy brain. You have to be an atheist to be able to understand this science.
Any zoo is
If you're
often
sick, you won't be able to.
deeply concerned and criticized for how it treats its animals.
Try psychosis.
They have 400 species on 163 acres, 66 hectares.
See?
Is it
Yeah, it's
reasonable
wasting his time.
that
It's the
Noah
brain.
and
Sick
his
brain creates
colleagues, his family,
sick
were able to
thoughts.
maintain 14,000 able to build? Now here's the thing. What we want in science, science as practiced out on the outside,
Bring a
an
neurologist.
ability to predict.
Bring a neurologist and give Ken Ham a little mirtazapine or some antipsychotic drug. He might have some
Well
lucidity.
understood that we can make predictions about what will happen. We can
God believes it's a brain
put a
disease.
spacecraft in orbit.
That's
and
what it
take a
is.
picture
It's apophyb,
of
imaginary
what
friend or
we
foe, irrational
We
beliefs.
can
In
predict
schizophrenia.
that if we provide this much
Incredible.
room for an elephant,
It's right
it will
there.
live healthily
The
for a
brain.
certain amount of time.
Almost the end
So,
of this
there was
debate.
plenty of room on
The brain has
I also believe that a lot
not
of what you
been
were saying was really
mentioned.
illustrating my point.
None.
You were talking about tree rings and ice layers and
Bill Nye did not
kangaroos
attack
in Australia and all sorts of things like that.
the Bible,
We're talking
which
about
is the
past.
basis
We
of
didn't
this
see those
psychotic
tree rings
person.
forming. We didn't see those layers being laid
That's
out.
what he calls
In
history.
1942, for instance, there
He
were
did not attack it.
some planes.
The
that
book of
came
mythologies, he didn't say, well, your brain is creating the
6 years
thinking,
later, I think it was,
and
3 miles away
you
from
believe in this book of fairy tale. There's many, many Bibles around and religious texts
catastrophically. If you assume
in history.
one layer a
So
year
why
or
are you
something
taking
like
yours
that,
as reality?
You're assuming things.
And there's all irrational.
past,
He should go for the
necessarily true.
jugular.
In regard to
Bill Nye should
lions and
attack
teeth,
the brain
most bears, have
and
teeth
the
very much
source
like
of the
lion.
beliefs of this idiot, which is a book of
Yeah,
mythology, is the
most
Bible.
bears
It didn't do
primarily
that
vegetarian.
at all.
Panda, if you look at its teeth, you'd
You
say
cannot talk to a
maybe it's
schizophrenic.
savage carnivore, it eats
You
mainly-
cannot
mainly
get reality to a person that
bamboo.
believes in
Back
this,
Australia,
in this,
really sharp
there is
teeth,
psychosis.
savage
They have religious
creature,
psychosis.
and it rips
You
into
can't.
fruit. So
That's the
just because
rebuttal
an animal
of this
has
idiot.
sharp teeth doesn't mean it's immediate.
There are human populations that are far older than that, with traditions that go back farther than that.
Exactly.
And it's just not reasonable to me that everything changed.
Schizophrenia
By
is
everything,
not
I mean,
reasonable.
species, the surface of the earth, the stars in the sky, and the relationship of all the other living things on earth to humans. It's just not reasonable.
It doesn't talk about the brain,
Anything changed like that.
and it doesn't talk about
And the
mythologies
another
of the
point I
Bible.
very much appreciate you addressing.
none.
There are billions of people in the world who are deeply religious, and I respect
No,
that.
religious
They
psychotics.
have tremendous community and
Psychotics.
nurture and support.
You shouldn't respect that.
Religious fellows in their communities, in their faiths, in their churches,
They're crazy
and yet they don't accept your point of view.
because there are many
There are
schizophrenias.
Christians who don't accept that
Exactly.
the earth could somehow be
And they all come from the brain.
young age.
It doesn't mention that.
Because of all the evidence around them. And so, what is to become of them, in your view?
Put him in an asylum.
And by the way,
That's what
this
you do.
thing started, as I understand it, Ken Ham's creation model is based on the Old Testament. So when you bring in, I'm not a theologian, when you bring in the New Testament, isn't that a little out of the box?
Theological psychosis.
For explanations
There are many Bibles.
of the creation of the world as we know it, based on what
Basic.
I'm going to...
I hope you enjoy this. I present nothing but the truth, back up with the evidence to back it up. Keep the brain healthy. In other words, atheist.
An atheist means no believing, I for fibs, or gods or crap like that. So, pace di Rome.